Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy here, Manny, once again. Welcome back to DFS Zone. This is your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. And like always, guys, before I continue on with the video, I would appreciate a like on the video. And if it's your first time here and never seen any one of my videos before, I appreciate you. Subscribe down below. Do not forget to do that. Please subscribe down below. And do not forget to turn on your notifications. This way you will not miss any of my new uploads. With that being said, guys, today is Friday, April the 27th, 2018. We have a juicy 3-game playoff slate here in the association tonight. The playoffs have been really nice to see. Everybody's battling, everybody's working hard, trying to get to the next level, and tonight it's going to be no different. These 3 games tonight are all elimination games. Toronto is in Washington trying to finish up the Wizards, and the Wizards are going to be fighting back as much as they can to try to make this into a Game 7. Cleveland is at Indy, trying to end it for Indy. Indy is in a good spot being at home, so definitely a good game to watch as well. OKC is at Utah. They're the only disadvantaged team because they're down 3-2, and they got to go to Utah to try to get this back over to OKC. So with that being said, that's pretty much what's going on tonight. Toronto, Washington, Cleveland at Indiana, and OKC at Utah. I am looking forward to it. After yesterday's 1-game slate, I didn't really play anything yesterday, so I'm looking forward to getting back in here, doing my research and making my decisions today on what and whom I'm going to play, who am I going to stack. And you know, like always lately, I've been just trying to get a little more comfortable, trying to share a little bit more of some of the insights, some of the things that I do here at home at DFS Zone, and come to the conclusion of who am I going to play, who am I stacking, what games I'm targeting. All those things are like I'm always going to try to give you tips. These are all kind of the things that you got to definitely evaluate and look at when you're making these decisions, especially during the playoff time, because you really can't go with too many guys off the bench. Only those role players that are really a big part of the rotation and are very much involved in the offense. Those are the guys you want to target. So definitely that's a key thing to remember. But we're going to go over each game, and I'm going to go over some of the plays, and as well as some insight on some of the stats right now, what's going on during the course of the playoffs, because right now after 5 or 6 games, so pretty much for everybody 6 games or 5 games, we have more of an idea of what's going on. So we're going to touch base. We're going to go 1 game at a time. We got Toronto at Washington. And before I go over the players, a couple key notes to remember. Vegas odds for tonight has Washington a 2-point favorite at home is expected. They have had a tight series. They got a 108.3 implied total, while Toronto is at 106.3, so a total of 2 points difference. These guys have been battling back and forth. They pretty much have been balanced, evenly matched throughout the whole series. Looking back last night at some of the things that I do prior to making decisions that I haven't quite really shared too much on, and I do that also with the NFL, and I will be doing that soon when I focus only on MLB, which, like I mentioned before, is a lot more stuff that I look at least for me personally. I don't know about anybody else, but I do a lot more extensive research with MLB because there's so many variables. With basketball and football, same thing. I look at statistics, I look at team statistics, I look at player statistics, I look at matchups. You got to look at how players are playing right now and how they match up against certain defenders or certain teams, and so on and so forth. It's just a number of little variables, but a little less than baseball. Baseball definitely takes me a little bit more time. But looking at right now where they stand, these 2 guys during the course of this playoff run, rebounding, Washington right now, out of the teams that are left, they're still ranked 10th in rebounding. They're averaging about 40 rebounds a game. They're pretty close with Toronto. Toronto's 12th, which is pretty much almost near last, and they're averaging 39 rebounds per game. So that basically, after I share that with you and I share with you the other 2 matchups, you're going to start seeing that, if you're looking at players, you may want to cater to a team, or you might favor a ball club that has rebounders that are rebounding a little bit more efficiently right now at this time of the playoffs. So that's a way to target also players as far as your fantasy points are concerned regarding rebounding and putting in and actually scoring. So rebounding is very important in the playoffs in basketball, as well as the turnover ratio and so on and so forth. So I'm going to share with that. But right now, rebounding, these two teams are two of the weakest ones out of the 6 that are playing tonight. So something to consider there when you're looking at lineups. I wanted to share that with you. The turnover ratio, same thing. Pretty much all 6 teams across the board are kind of even. Washington has the best turnover ratio as of yet right now out of the 6 teams that are playing tonight. They're ranked 5th, but they are committing 13 turnovers per game, whereas Toronto and everybody else that's playing tonight, Cleveland, Indiana, OKC, and Utah, they're averaging more like 15 turnovers a game. Kind of balanced out throughout the whole slate, but we all know the turnovers are critical. The turnovers are critical in basketball as they are in football, and as well as they are in baseball. With errors, it's just you can't have them. So the least amount of turnovers any one of these teams make, obviously that's going to be an advantage to the opponent, because you gain with each turnover you could possibly gain 2 to as much as 3 points out of the play, maybe even as much as 4 points if somebody commits a foul from 3-point range with the person hitting the 3-point shot. So it could be that devastating to a team. So I mean, definitely the turnovers are important. But right there, they're pretty much even in turnovers. The field goal percentage, a little bit of an advantage for Toronto in this series. They're right now ranked 3rd out of the teams that are in the playoffs. 48% field goal percentage. They're shooting about 80 to 81 shots a game and hitting about 39 of them. So they're doing very well there. That is definitely a good field goal percentage rate. Washington is doing just as good. They're 5th, 47% field goal percentage at 41 out of about 85, 86 shots. So they're doing very well there. So something to consider there in this particular game if you want to stack given players. That's area that I would concentrate on. Guys that are shooting the ball, the rock really efficiently at a good field goal percentage rate. Those are the guys maybe you want to focus on, especially if they're taking sufficient shots, because like we've discussed before, the more shots you take, the more time on the floor, the more shots you take, the better chance you have to score points. And then of course that trends in over to us daily fantasy sport players for fantasy points. So definitely something to consider there in this series. Their field goal percentage, both teams are fairly high, where their rebounding is near the bottom out of the 6 teams that are playing today. So 2 things to consider. All right, so you got to look at two different variables, 2 different areas there as far as your lineups are concerned. 3-pointers is another thing I look at too when I look at statistics per team. Toronto's right now the top one out of all the teams in the playoffs. They're shooting at a 43% clip from 3-point. They take about 26, 27 shots per game, and they're hitting about 11 or 12 a game. So they're doing very well there, and it could be scary if they hit 1 or 2 or 3 more on the average. They could be almost at nearly 47%, 48%, and that is fantastic considering that they're shooting so well from the floor at 48%. So both teams are doing fairly good there. Washington is 6th at 37%, not as efficient from the 3-point arc as Toronto has. So they're averaging about 8 out of 21 shots, 8 out of 22 shots. They are not. That is, to me, that's not. When it comes to 3-pointers, I really prefer to look at the teams that are shooting at 40% or better. So I'm not really aiming on Washington as a team to focus on to maybe hit some additional points from the 3-point line. I would probably cater myself more to looking at Toronto because they're number 1. Points overall in this series, Toronto's averaging 110.6 and Washington is averaging 110.2, and they both are some of the top teams. Washington is 5th and Toronto's 3rd in that area of total points. And as you can see, with the line being 108, 106 today, they've come down a little bit on their average, but Vegas is pretty much about right with their numbers going into this game 6 tonight. So these are definitely stats that you should definitely consider as you keep them in mind for positioning yourself and making your lineups, which I will share with you some of the guys in a moment. The next game in line tonight, Cleveland, Indiana, another competitive game, and I expect it, as a fan, I expect this game to stay close. They've been playing pretty closely throughout. They've pretty much been evenly matched in a lot of areas, as I will share with you right now. Cleveland is an implied total for tonight is 101.3. Indy 102.3. They got Indy favored by 1 point, and that's obviously because they're at home. Rebounding wise, Indiana is 9th in the playoffs right now, averaging 39 rebounds per game, which is really, really low. I mean, for me, as a fan looking in, or someone who's a DFS player looking to see which teams are doing well in rebounding and putting back balls, this is definitely a struggle right here for Indiana and Cleveland. Cleveland is 12th. They're dead last out of the playoff teams, averaging 38, just one rebound less. So they kind of balance themselves out. That's why these games have been fairly close. I still think that Indiana is the better rebounding team, so I'm always going to be leaning towards Sabonis and Turner, as well as Thaddeus Young, as opposed to what Cleveland is putting on the floor with Kevin Love and so on. Kevin Love is a great rebounder, but he's definitely has had his problems in this series. Turnover ratio, both teams, just like I said before, I'm not going to go over it. They're all like kind of in the same range, 15 pretty much turnovers a game. Any one of the teams of any of these six can clean up their turnover ratio and have a little less than that. That's gonna be the difference in them maybe possibly winning the game. So this is going to be a very interesting game today, because if Cleveland or Indiana can, either one of them, minimize those turnovers and really convert those possessions into points, they're going to put themselves in a position where they're going to be ahead, and it'll be a little bit more difficult for the team that is committing more of the turnovers. Field goal percentage, Indiana 6th overall right now, 47%. They're out there, they're pretty high. They're just as comparable with Washington and Toronto. They're shooting at 37 out of 78 on average. They take 78 shots. They're pretty much hitting about 37 of them. Cleveland is 11th. They're down a little lower, near the bottom, 44% shooting from the floor. They're basically shooting 76 shots and hitting about 32, 33 of them. If you notice, if you're taking those notations right now, 78 and 76 shots, this is one of the reasons why those games have been a little lower. I project this game to possibly even be lower than 102 and 101. I think it could be a 100 to 99 or a 99, 98, 99, 97 game final today. So keep that in mind as well, that these teams are slowing down the pace, and they're not really getting as many shots off. That means they definitely are using the shot clock a little bit more, and that means that both teams are actually playing a little bit more better half-court defense. So definitely consider that. And when you come over to the Toronto game, I didn't touch up on that. Toronto 39 of 81 and Washington 41 of 86. As you can see the difference, they're taking almost 4 to 5, as much as 8 more shots than what Indy and Cleveland individually has been doing. So especially Washington, they take a lot of shots, so that means they're moving up, and we know Washington likes to move the pace. They like to go up the floor a little quicker and try to score on transition, similar to OKC, but not as efficient or as quickly as OKC does it. But they are that kind of a team in a way. They could play both the half court, and they could also play where they want to be at that fast pace, but they take shots a little more quicker. They like to take more shots, and sometimes you want to look at that. So that's why I'm saying that Toronto-Washington game is a very good game to target. It's also a good game to stack players on, which I'll touch up on a little bit later on. So going back to the Cleveland-Indiana game, sorry to sidetrack myself and go backwards a little bit. 3-point percentage shooting, Indy's 11th in the playoffs right now. They're shooting 33% clip. That is actually very low compared to Toronto's 43. That's almost a whole 10% less. They're hitting only 8 out of about 25, 26 shots, and Cleveland is at 10 out of 32 at 31%. Cleveland is dead last. Both teams are near the bottom of all the teams that are in the playoffs right now shooting the 3. So these teams are focusing more on half-court play and not so much so in scoring in a high-paced transitional game. So something to consider here if you want to have. And this is a good game to target too, guys, simply because, and I like this game to target because this game is going to stay fairly close, and the key players in the game are going to be on the court 35, 40 minutes or better. And that's what you're looking for now in the playoffs. Teams that are playing their key players, their role players, and their key players, their studs, 35 minutes plus. And more importantly, if they're in that 40-minute range or better, hey, like I said before, time and time again, minutes, right, equals to more shots equals to more points equals to more fantasy points for us. So remember that, all right? Let's move on to the OKC Utah game. OKC Utah is favored by 6. They're at home, 106.8 implied total. Against OKC, the Thunder at 100.8. Rebounding wise, Utah 48 rebounds per game. They're second in the whole playoffs. We know the reasons why. They got Favors, they got Gobert. These guys love to rebound. Even the young guys, even Rubio. I mean, when we look at Rubio in a moment, you're going to see Rubio's really been picking it up. He has been getting down there underneath the boards, really trying to make getting some rebounds. He is doing everything he can to contribute for the team. So the rebounding, I totally understand how Utah is up there at the top. But 48 rebounds per game is fantastic. OKC is 8th in the playoffs at 43 rebounds per game. That's a 5 rebound difference, and that could equate to anywhere between 10 to as much as 18 points. So it's a big difference. If Utah could keep on winning the battle of the boards and they can keep those turnovers at bay a little bit, because they're averaging 15 as opposed to OKC's 14, they have that much better of chance to definitely win by 6 points or better tonight and end this series. Field goal percentage wise, Utah is 7th overall out of the playoff teams that are right now running, 48.5%. They had a 45% clip, take about 84 shots, have hit about 38 on average per game. And OKC is pretty much in the same range, 37 of 85 at 43%. They're 11th overall. Only 2% difference, only a miss here or there per shot. They're taking a lot of shots. Again, we know OKC loves to run and shoot. They love the transition game. And Utah, to me, in my opinion, is so far, other than Indiana and Toronto, they're probably the top half-court defense and half-court offensive team in the playoffs right now, period, the way they've been playing. So at least that's in my opinion from what I see, because I try to analyze the game as much as possible. But I think, in my opinion, they've been the best. And I think Indiana and Toronto are right there, second and third, or Toronto second and Indiana third. But, a lot of teams have been playing well. Cleveland's been stepping it up, as well as Washington. So the playoffs will do that for you. Teams realize, hey, you know what, you cannot win with just offense alone. We're going to have to play some defense. And this is going to be the demise of OKC, is that unfortunately they're not a good half-court offensive team. So it makes it really tough for them. They take a lot of deep shots. They rather run and shoot and try to get steals, turnovers, and get down the court as quickly as they can and have that pace really fast. And it's not happening here in this series. So, but anyway, that's again my opinion. And that's where we at. Total points, what I have at 3-point field goal percentage, I already discussed with the OKC-Utah game. 3-point percentage, OKC, 38%, not bad. They're third in the playoffs. And Utah is at 35% right now, 12 of 33 from 3. On the average, they're taking 33 threes, and OKC 28 per game, which is a lot of threes. But their percentage rates are really low compared to the 3-point shooting of Toronto and Washington, especially Toronto at 43%. I mean, man, that is a very good clip. So if you're looking for more, some key players to look at, obviously the Toronto team is a good team to start with. And total points in this series, Utah is averaging about 107.4. That's 6th in the playoffs, and OKC is 9th at 103.2. Vegas got it at 106 and over 100 tonight. That's a difference of 4 from where they're at right now, difference of 2. So I can see it where Utah is at 107. They project them to be at 106, and OKC, they have them slipping down a little bit from 103 to 100 for tonight. So we will see. And that's pretty much the status there. So now let's go over. I'm going to go over to the players. As I always do with you guys, I always share with you the plays that I have. As you can see, I kind of on Fantasy Crunch, I kind of highlighted them by putting the lock here on the players that I'm looking at. As you can see, the player pool for tonight's 3 games is 55 players, and I have narrowed it down to 28 in my pool out of those 55 that I like and that I'm targeting. And then I also did one better. I basically chose the 3 guys that I really like the best going into tonight, but all these guys here are in play. I would highly recommend everybody will look at these guys carefully and make decisions. Let's start here at the top with Russell Westbrook. Westbrook, 68 fantasy points, almost 69 fantasy points in the last game. He went entirely off. He went bananas, and he needed to do that. And you know what? He's going to need to do that again today if they're going to have any chance to win this game in Utah. The 2 games in Utah, as you can see here, 113-96 and 115-102. They didn't even have a chance in that series. And he took 18 shots and 17 shots. He's going to have to double that today. He's going to have to take 39 or more shots today. And Paul George is going to have to do the same. And basically right now, this is a 2-man team right now. George and Russell they're the only ones who could take Utah to the next level. It's the only way, hands down. Carmelo Anthony has not been a major factor in this team all year long, and he has not been a major factor in this series, and he wasn't a major factor especially in the last game because he didn't even play most of the second half. So this is the George and Westbrook show. And so if you're on anybody, you want to stack anybody, you can start with Westbrook and Paul George tonight. You can definitely stack up those two. I will have a lineup where I will have those two guys in there as a team stack. Okay, but Westbrook is in play. It's a matter of, do you want to pay for him? He's at 11. You need about 55. Obviously, he crushed value in the last game. He's going to need to crush value again today. Will he be able to get it done today? Maybe, but he definitely didn't show it in those two games in Utah, as you can see here, 39 and 38. So I don't know, man. I'd be honest with you. I'm in favor. I like Utah in the West, and I said it all along. I like kind of Philadelphia in the East. We would love to see those two young boys, Donovan Mitchell and Ben Simmons, battle it out for Rookie of the Year and possible Finals MVPs and winning a championship all in their first year. I mean, that would be awesome. That would be a great, great story to write about at the end of the year. So I'm hoping for that. I would love to see the Jazz win it all in the West, and I would love to see Philadelphia do it in the East. And they both got good chances to do that. But it starts with eliminating these guys tonight. So Westbrook, for me, guys, is in play, but he has not played well in Utah in the two games prior to that, and he's got to go back there over there again. I don't know, but I know he's going to damn try. I know he's going to damn try. He's one of the best players in the league, and we got to give him the respect for that, and he's going to need to step up today big, and I think he's going to try to. I just don't know if he's going to get it done, and I'm not willing to take that chance and pay 11 for him. I'd rather pay for John Wall, who happens to be at home, and Wall has been dynamite. 68, 60, 55 in the 3 games prior to, including the games in Toronto. He was on fire. He's putting massive minutes, 44, 43, 36, and 31. Look at the usage rate. It's really up there. 33, 37, 36, pretty much, 32, and 30. And look at the shots. 21, 24, 23, 17, 20. I mean, he's doing it all. This is what he's got to do. And he's been on fire, and they haven't had really an answer for John Wall. They really haven't had an answer for him, surprisingly. And Toronto is a very sneakily good defensive team. They usually are very high in the ranks as far as defense is concerned. As you can see here, 8th overall. So I like Wall tonight. He's one of my favorite plays. If I'm going to pay up almost 11 grand and hope that somebody's going to give me 48 to 50, John Wall I think is a lock at 50 plus, and they have him projected for 47. So that price is actually about right. I'm expecting him to put 50 plus up there, so I think he's worth it, and he's the only one out of these two studs that I would consider at that price, just simply because I think he has shown that he can handle the matchup against Toronto. Ricky Rubio, love Ricky Rubio. As everybody knows, he's definitely a struggle the last 2 games. He's still getting massive minutes. He's still getting enough usage, and he's getting his shots. It's just last 2 games, 4-14, 4-12, not good high percentage field goal shooting. He struggled a little bit from the 3-point line as well, but I still believe in Rubio, and Rubio is capable, and I think he's going to step up tonight at home, and I think he's going to smash this 7,600. You need to get about 36. He can easily get 36. You can see he got 59, 43, and 40 in the first 3 games, and throughout the season, as you'll see, even as low as down here, 48, 40, 35. So he can get 37. He can get 38 easy. He's got a crazy upside. He got a ceiling of possibly 50, 55. So, I mean, he's dangerous. I like Rubio there. 7,600, I would definitely take him. But I like one better in Kyle Lowry. Been steady. Steady Kyle. 1, 2, 3, 4 games in a row. He's at 38, 39 or better. He's got the minutes. 38, 39, 35, 35, 37. Usage rate a little low in the last 2 games, but he's still getting shots. 7 of 13, 7 of 15, 6 of 14. He's pretty efficient from 3, all 50% or better. 3 of 6, 4 of 6, 5 of 8. That's one of the reasons why they're shooting at 43% from the 3-point range. So definitely someone to consider. I like everything about the matchup. I think Kyle Lowry is definitely a good player at 8,400. You need about 42, 43 from him. They are projecting him to have 35, which is a little disappointing to see. But as you can see, he could definitely hit 40. I think he's going to be in that 40 range. He's pretty steady. I think Kyle Lowry also, just for those guys who are playing cash game, because I really am focusing more on GPP plays. Wall and Lowry are both good core players for tonight, as far as core, meaning that they are good to be for cash play as well as GPP. So just remember that. Another GPP player is these 2 guys down here for low price. Collison, 5,600, was non-existent in the last game. Okay, 21 minutes, only put up 12.7, or pretty much rounding out 13 fantasy points. Really had a tough goal. We didn't shoot well. 1 of 5 from the floor. I don't know what really happened. He just did not play as well. And imagine, Indiana was in this game all the way to the very end against Cleveland, and they didn't have Collison playing well, and he was on the bench during all that, during that run in the fourth quarter. And on top of that, we're going to touch base in a moment with the shooting guards. Oladipo had a poor game as well. So, and he was the guy that I was projecting to have a big game. Didn't have it. Maybe that game from Oladipo comes tonight. But Collison is definitely a good play at 5,600. Dillon Wright has been fantastic for Toronto. Off the bench, he's been like their sixth man. Steady Wright. Call him steady Wright. 32, 24, had a dud here, 31, 33. I mean, he's had 4 out of 5 games where he has met value or better. He's getting decent shots. He's getting good minutes, except for this bad one here with 19 minutes. But 26, 24, 27, 26, I'll take that. He lit it up in the last game. He kind of buried me because I didn't have him in my lineup in the last game he played, and he was one of the top guys on the lineup as the surprise play of the day. So I mean, for some guys who won the big money. So definitely a great GPP play in Mr. Wright. So definitely consider him. All right. So those are the guys. Those are the 6 guys I'm looking at point guard. My favorites are Wall, Lowry, and Wright. Like I said before, I'm not going to give guys stub 5s here or anything like that because come on. I mean, this is the playoffs. It's very hard for me to come here and just tell somebody, hey, you definitely should go with Wall. I think Wall is the best play tonight other than Lowry. And then I was like Wright as the value play at 5,000. But all these guys here on my list, Russell, Rubio, as well as Collison, they're all in play. So it's all on you. Do your research. Think about some of the stuff I mentioned before as far as tips. And then, of course, I'm going to tell you I'm going to let you know about a couple of stacks at the end as well. I mean, that's what you got to, you got to figure this out on your own. Even if you have to do a little bit of researching. So don't take my word for it. But I'm giving you the best possible options here. 6 guys here at the point guard position. You need 2 of them. And I'm telling you 3 here I really like the best. You could take those 3 and you could roll with it, or you can choose any of the other guys. It's no problem. Shooting guard. I have here Oladipo, Mitchell, DeRozan, Beal, and Carver. And Carver being the value play is the only value play I like. I don't like anybody else. I'm not on Hood. I'm not on Clarkson for Cleveland. I'm not on JR. I had JR in the last one. He let me down. Carver had the bigger game, and I think Carver is now feeling it. He's really excited. He's pumped up. They're giving him the ball, and he's taking advantage of the whole situation, and he's getting busy. So Kyle Carver, to me, is the best possible play. Even though in the last video for that game, I did say I like Carver and Smith, but I just chose Smith because of the lower price, thinking of Smith because he was getting more shots. He was going to have one of those nights that he went off, and he didn't. He wasn't that efficient. Carver was. They left Carver on the floor. He ended up playing more minutes, and he had the bigger game. So that's just the way it is. You just don't know. Sometimes you pick the right guy, and sometimes you don't. Oladipo. I had him as a stud, one of the guys that I really like. He was pretty much my favorite play. I even had him on my thumbnail for the video. I thought he was going to go off. He did not. He did play massive minutes. He is definitely trying everything he can. He's just not shooting really well right now. He continues to struggle. I think he eventually, the beauty about Oladipo, as you can see here, he played 40 minutes. He put 33 fantasy points, and all the points pretty much came from his rebound. And he also got to the free throw line, but he was horrible from the floor. 1 of 7 from 3-point range and 2 of 15. But he made up for it because he said, "I'm going to keep helping the team do something else," and that's a ball play. That's what you can respect. He went out there, he still made some assists, and he did a lot of rebounding. 11 defensive rebounds, 12 altogether. So even though he only had a 12-point night, 33 fantasy points, he was 13% off what he was projected. It's definitely a bad night as far as fantasy points are concerned, but overall you cannot knock the effort. And Oladipo will be out gunning again today, and he's back at home, and hopefully he plays a better game, because even the 2 games at home, as you can see here, 34 and 39, he did not play well. So I'm not on Oladipo tonight, but it wouldn't be surprised me at all if this guy goes for 50 points tonight. I may let's put it this way, I will have him in a lineup. I'll probably get him in a lineup or 2. But as you can see, the guys that I'm focusing more on are the ones that I have with the locks on. Donovan Mitchell, my Rookie of the Year candidate. DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Korver. Those are the guys I'm focusing on. But Bradley Beal's in play and Oladipo's in play. These guys are capable of meeting their value. At 30, let's go right to Donovan Mitchell. He's facing OKC. As you can see, OKC 22nd overall over the year, defending against the against the shooting guard, and he has been all over them. 51, 37, 42, 50, 44 guys. 40, 39, 35, 42, 34 in the series. Look at the usage rate. 28%, 33%, 31%, 34%, 31%. All even down all the way down to here. 36, 35.5%. But a little off in his shot in the last game. 9 of 22, still put up 44. So imagine if he knocks down 50%, 45% of his shots here. That's basically just 2 or 3 more shots. And if he had hit at least half of those threes, maybe 4 of 7, and shot for 60%, I mean, you're talking about almost 60 fantasy points. So Donovan Mitchell is going to ball tonight at home. He is a lock for me, guys, a lock for me, and he's also, to me, the rookie of the year. And like I said a little bit earlier in the video, it'll be great to see this kid make it all the way to the finals in his first year, win rookie of the year, possibly win the NBA championship, and maybe even win the MVP award for the series. Right now, he's the MVP for this team, man. I mean, without no Donovan Mitchell, Utah is not here. He's not here. I mean, that is probably going to go down as one of the best draft picks ever. You know, so 13 of 28, 9 of 20, 10 of 25, 11 of 25. I mean, I don't need to go any further. The kid has been dynamite. He is definitely a lock for me, GPP play, and I think that he's also a good cash play. He's been consistent enough. He's been getting you at least 42 or better in the last 3 games. Okay? Now, you need to get about, 40, 43, 44 here out of that value, out of that price. But I think he can match that. I think he can match that, and I think tonight he's going to ball his butt off and he's going to get it done. He wants Utah to wrap this up. So I expect Donovan Mitchell to get a lot of time on the floor and a lot of shots. So lock in Donovan Mitchell. If anything, I would say lock him in. Another guy that I like to lock in some of my lineups today is DeMar DeRozan. Washington 19th overall against shooting guard. And look at this, 50 and 47 and 35. He had a 37 here, just about value. All right, 39, 38, 37, 35. Really steady guy. I mean, you could definitely pencil him in for like 38 points or better on the average with DeRozan. His price has gone up a little bit. Okay, he was 79, 74 to start the series, and now he's all the way up to 86 in the last two games. But he's been, as you can see, he's kind of quite pretty much has met it. So I expect him. I expect him to get up there again. I think he's good for 45 plus today. I know Toronto's going to try to wrap this up, even though they got to go to Washington. It's going to be a close game. But he's going to be on the floor, and he's going to get shots. 24, 29, 22, 23. Okay? Look at the free throws. In the second 2 games ago, he had 18 free throws. Hit 14 of 18. I mean, him and Lowry are the guys. There's no doubt about it for Toronto. So I mean, I like DeRozan today. I think he could definitely do it. They do have him projected at about 36, 37 fantasy points, just about right. But I think he'll get 40 plus. I say if you're looking for someone to put in your lineup, definitely consider DeMar DeRozan. Bradley Beal is in play as well. 7,700, 29 in the last game, 36, 46. He had 15 and 35 in the 2 previous games early on in the series. He wasn't looking that good in the first 2 games. He definitely has looked better in the last 3. His best game was Game 3. He's going to need to have a heck of a game today, too, to help John Wall out, because if not, they're probably not going to win the game. So Beal has definitely got to be in play today. At 7,700, it's all entirely up to you guys. Like I said, think about the statistical things I mentioned. Think about the matchup. Toronto supposedly is #1 against shooting guards, so definitely a tough matchup for him, and you can see that it has definitely affected him in fantasy points. This is why I'm in favor of DeRozan and Mitchell more as the stud guys. But he's in play for those guys who want to stack him up the wall. I think it's not a bad idea. You can actually do the whole Toronto and Washington stack. That has worked for me a few times this year when they've played the same night. So you could definitely do that as well. My last guy to go over here in the shooting guard position is Mr. Kyle Korver. Indiana's 4th overall, but Kyle Korver has been playing well in this series. 28, 29. He had a 10 spot here, 20 and 1, -1 in the first game. Let's forget about game 1. Let's just think about the last 2 games. He's getting 33, 26 minutes. He's been shooting better than J.R. Smith, and that's the reason why he's on the floor a little bit more. 6 of 11, 5 of 9 from 3, 4 of 9 from 3. If he shoots like that, they're going to leave him on the floor. We all know that. He's a shooter, and he's a good three-point shooter. He's one of the best three-point shooters. You leave him out there, he gets high, he squares up those shoulders, he's going to bury shots. So Kyle Korver is definitely in play, 4,500. It's a no-brainer. If you can stick him in there in the lineup, get yourself a Donovan Mitchell or DeMar DeRozan, and then stick a Kyle Korver there as a second shooting guard, and then you just move on down and put the value, the extra money into one of the other studs in the 3 or the 4 hole. All right, where there's plenty of value, especially in the 4 hole in power forward spot. All right, let's go to small forwards. These are the guys I'm looking at. I've narrowed this down all the way down to about 6 or 7 players. We got 2 value plays, and I like one right down here. But we're going to go with the 2 studs for tonight. I think both of them are going to go off. LeBron James in Indy, looking to end it. They haven't projected with about 49 points today, but he's been over 49 for all 5 games. 57, 70, 54, 63, 69, 42, 46, 42, 39, 43 minutes, averaging 42 minutes plus throughout the last 3 games. Usage rate has been ridiculous. Last game he took 24 shots, hit 14 of 24, 1 of 4 from 3. He got up to the foul line. He was definitely penetrating, really just attacking the board. And he was definitely getting fouled quite a bit. A few times he got some fouls that shouldn't have been fouls, but nonetheless, 15 of 15 from the free throw line. And of course, he did everything else: 8 assists, 10 rebounds. He almost had a triple-double. Did have 5 turnovers in the last game, but 44 overall points. I mean, he's gonna. We know LeBron is LeBron, man. LeBron is one of the best players in this league and has been for a long time. And he is not showing any signs of age, man. He's like, 15 years in the league. The guy is still like capable of dominating. He ended the game the other night with that big 3-point shot. I expect no different from LeBron today. I still favor Indy today at home. I think Indy, to me personally, is a better team overall. At least to me, because Cleveland has so many holes. They don't have no guards. They don't really have a point guard. Maybe they should get Clarkson to play some point, who has some experience there. And they don't have a point guard. This team needs a couple of players going into next year. I personally feel if Indy can pull out this win tonight, they got every possible opportunity to wrap this up and beat Cleveland in Game 7 on Sunday. So. To me, I'm all for it, man. Let LeBron have an early vacation, and let this team turn things around a little bit, because it was an ugly, season pretty much for Cleveland, a lot of up and down. So anyway, that's my take on that. So LeBron is definitely in play, guys. I will have him in some of my lineups. You have to try to squeeze him in there somewhere. He's going to do everything he can to carry this team. He's going to need to take maybe more than 24 shots today. So we'll see what happens. It should be definitely a great game to watch. But I don't have much to say about that. You guys know he's one of the best. If you definitely can squeeze him in there at 12,300, I think he's worth it. And I think he's definitely going to be able to meet that value for you guys. So LeBron James is definitely in play. Paul George is another guy that's in play. Utah is number 1 against this position, but they have had a little bit of trouble with George, especially in the last 2 games. He's starting to find his rhythm. He's starting to get more minutes, and he's starting to get more shots. As you can see, 21 and 26 in the last 2 games, and he's hitting them a little bit better. He did not shoot as well in Game 4, but in Game 5 he did. And they're going to need him to take 21 plus shots again today, and he's going to need to have a better percentage rate on those shots. And if he does that, OKC will probably take this game back to OKC, tied 3 games apiece, with the winner battling for their lives for them to move on to the second round. So I can see that happening. I'm definitely been in favor of Utah. I like the team. I think they're going to shut it down tonight. But if these guys are going to have any chance, it's going to have to be the Russell and PG-13 show today. So if those 2 guys, shoot at a high percentage, they have a shot. Let's just put it that way. Carmelo Anthony's not even in the equation. So Paul George at what's his price again? 8,400. He's shown that he can do that. We all know that he can do that. I think tonight he's going to need to do that. I think he's going to do that tonight and maybe possibly still lose the game. But Paul George is definitely someone you should definitely consider in your lineups today. Joe Ingles is definitely in play, 19th ranked OKC. He did have a little bit of a dud game in the last game, 23.3 fantasy points. He played 42 massive minutes, but he wasn't shooting as well, 5 of 11 and 4 and 9 from the floor. Not too bad. It's just he didn't get as many shots as he has done in the last couple of games. But if he can get a little bit more shots and hit him, he's another guy that if he gets his rhythm going and he hits his three-point shots and his mid-range shot, they'll feed him the ball a little bit more. But right now, really, the key guys for Utah is Donovan Mitchell and Ricky Rubio. I mean, those are the guys you got to look at. And in the last game, Joe Crowder showed that if he can get going, he can be a dangerous factor too. So look for those three guys more so than Ingles. But Ingles, I mean, he's in play. I would say, if you could squeeze him in there, I think he's not a bad play. 6,600. He's got to get about 33, 34. And as you can see, he's pretty much averaging that. He can do it. He can do it. I just prefer George or pay up for James today, and then maybe taking somebody like Bogdanovich, Mills, or Oubre, the lower cost guys. Otto Porter, I have him here, but I haven't been in favor of Otto Porter. I kind of like Kelly Oubre, so I'm not going to go to Porter. Go right down to Kelly Oubre. Bogdanovich, well, matter of fact, let me not skip over Bogdanovich. Bogdanovich, let's see, 15 and 19 last two games. Yeah, I'm not too, I don't know, man. He's too much up and down. Too up and down, Bogdanovich. Too streaky, and, I don't think he's in play for me tonight. I don't advise anybody to be on him, but again, I think he's one of the guys you could use tonight at 5,300. He's great at it as a GPP play, no doubt about it. But I kind of like Oubre better. He's a little bit more consistent. He's getting his time, 26, 24, 25, 30 over the last 4 games in this playoff. He's getting a few shots down, and he's been getting at least to value. And at 4,200, I mean, I'll take that. And he has the upside that he could put up 30 to 35. So I kind of like that. Good GPP play, but a good, decent cash play if you needed to find a low-cost cash play that has a decent upside. I think Kelly Oubre is the guy. So someone to consider there, guys. He's one of my favorites. As I said before, the guys with the locks on them are the guys that I'm really focusing on. CJ Miles, because of the good percentage rate that I mentioned before of the shooting from three-point range for Toronto, he's one of the guys that likes to shoot and shoots fairly well from three. As you can see here, last game put a 21 spot. He played 23 minutes, and he took 7 shots from 3, only hit 2, but there are times as you see down here, 4 of 6, 4 of 7, and then during the season, 5 of 10. He's a three-point shooter. He's one of those guys that likes to take those threes, and he usually is very efficient with them. When he hits them, he's right on. So he could definitely be a 40 to 45% shooter from 3 for you guys at a low cost. I think that he's definitely someone to consider. At 3,600, I mean, man, he only has to put up, 15? I could see him doing that easily as long as he gets his 20, 25 minutes. So definitely someone to consider as a low value play. Let's go to power forward. We got Kevin Love, Thaddeus Young, Derek Favors, Serge Ibaka, Domantas Sabonis, Markieff Morris, and Joe Crowder. As you can see, this position here, I'm still a little bit undecided. But as you can see here, 32, 31, 29, 27, 27, 24, 21, they're all pretty much close as far as what their projections are. And then when you look at the price, you're really just looking for value here. So you got Thaddeus Young, 6,400, and then Kevin Love is 1,000 more, and he's only projected to put in about a point and a half more. And Love has not been good at all in this series against Indiana. We're clicking it right now on Kevin Love, and as you can see, red, all 5 games. Now, we're all saying when Kevin Love is going to have a Kevin Love game. He is getting the rebounds, but he's not hitting the threes. He's not shooting well from the floor. So you can see 2 of 11, 2 of 10. And I think that's going to continue against Indiana. I really do. I did choose him in one of my lineups and a couple of lineups 2 games ago, and I didn't do that in the last game, and I'm not going to do it again. So that's why he's not up here, even though they're projecting him to have the highest total here on Fantasy Cruncher among the other guys. But I favor Thaddeus Young. For 1,000 less, I'd rather take Thaddeus Young. For 1,400 less, I'd rather take Derek Favors, who has upside to put up 40 to 45. Thaddeus Young the same. He could put up 40, 45 for you at 6,400. So I like this position here, power forward, because I do have a couple of guys here. Just these 4 guys here are all solid. Sabonis had an awesome game in the last game. But let's go back. Thaddeus Young put a 22 spot in the last game. He wasn't as efficient with the time on the floor. He did get 8 or 9 shots, but he didn't do much of anything. His rebounds, he wasn't really much involved in the offense and the rebounding aspects of the game. Domantas Sabonis came in, and he was definitely a better post-up player, at least that given night than the last game. And he was definitely dominating the fours, the big men of Cleveland, and that's the reason why he was on the floor a little bit longer, and they kept riding Sabonis. And that's usually that's pretty much been the situation with Indiana all year long between these two guys. They have actually utilized these guys well. So good coaching by Nate McMillan. So Thaddeus Young is definitely in play tonight, 6,400. I can see him getting 35 plus. I think he's a good play. Derek Favors. What is all this about? Derek Favors. Hold on, let me see if I can clear this here, guys. I have no idea why this is like this. Alright, so anyway, Derek Favors, just click on it again. Okay, it's better now. Sorry about that, guys. So Derek Favors, OKC 10th ranked overall against the 4 spot. He had a 15-point fantasy. He had a complete done in the last game. 24 minutes, only 2 of 3 from the floor. He did get to the foul line, got 8 shots, hit 6 of 8. Only had 5 rebounds, no assists. His problem was that he got into foul trouble, of course. He had 5 fouls, and that was the worst performance with him defensively to be called, because he really hurt his team. And actually, if he was on the floor and not get the foul problems, it could probably be a different story. I don't think OKC would have won the game, because these guys have been dominant. Like I mentioned before, I told you OKC, Utah is one of the top. It's actually second ranked in the playoffs as far as rebounds are concerned. And he's one of the integral players on this top. He's one of the key players on this team that defends the boards very well, other than Gobert. So there's a reason why when he got into foul trouble, they had no choice to use Crowder, who's more not of a rebounder but more of a scorer. But they've been utilizing Favors and Crowder sometimes at the same time on the floor. So I expect that to continue. I think Derek Favors will be better defensively today, will not get into foul trouble as he did in the other previous games against OKC. So I expect that to be a totally different situation today. I really love Derek Favors here today as a good power forward play at 6,000. Derek Favors definitely someone you guys should consider. Serge Ibaka has been playing okay, not as good over the last 3 games. Is getting sufficient minutes, not getting a whole lot of shots. I personally don't think, with Ibaka, anything can happen tonight, guys. Anything can happen. I just don't feel in this particular game against Washington, Ibaka, out of these guys here, Ibaka is not one of the guys. As a matter of fact, I'm taking him off here now out of my lock. He was one that I was considering. I just highlighted all these guys late last night, but now that I'm looking at it, and then I'm looking at the rebounding aspects of the game, obviously I do like Utah better as far as a defensive rebounding team, as a rebounding team in general. So Favors is definitely more in favor to me over Ibaka. And I love Sabonis here, who had an awesome game in the last game against Cleveland, and he's played well in 2 games in a row, 24 and 33 respectively, 33 and 25 minutes, as you can see. And look at this, 8 of 12, 9 of 12. He is a very good post-up player. He's very good around where the key is at, under the boards. He definitely rebounds a little bit. He definitely passes the ball a little bit. He did a little bit of everything in the last game, 22 points. He just shot really well from up close, and he can hit the small 12-foot, 10-foot jumpers. He's pretty good. He's a pretty good player. I like his little post-up game. He has gotten good moves, and he's a lefty. So that also is a factor with some teams that can't defend those lefties that well. So I like Sabonis today. I like Favors today. I like those 2 the best. And then Thaddeus Young will be my 3rd choice, of course, as well as Crowder. I'm not on Markieff Morris, even though Markieff Morris can have a good game. Let's go right over to Joe Crowder. Look at this, 43 and 24 in the last 2 games, 37 and 28. He got those minutes because obviously he was doing so much good work out there that they had to leave him on the floor. And knowing that Derek Favors was having a struggling game defending and had the foul troubles, and he just lit it up. And I don't see no different today. I don't think he's going to put up 27 and 9 and 19 again today and 6 of 14 from 3, but he is very much capable of doing that and getting that hot and streaky. So Joe Crowder is definitely in play today, guys. At 5,000, he is a bargain. Okay, he only has to put up 25 for you, and we know that he can do more than that. They have him projected to put up only 21. I think he's going to smash 21 today. The longest he gets those 20 or 25 plus minutes. All right, and I think they will. Let's go. So again, guys, Thaddeus Young, Derek Favors, Mr. Sabonis, or Crowder, any one of those 4. I'm definitely looking at those 4. I will narrow that down to 1 or 2 later on for myself, but those are the key plays here at power forward for today that I think you guys should definitely look at. At center, as you can see, I only narrowed it down to 3 players, and basically I only like 2 players. Gobert, I think he's a good play tonight, guys. Let's look at him, but the problem with Gobert is that he gets into foul trouble. And when he gets into foul trouble, he's not on the floor. He's on the bench, and that hurts the team. And because he gets in foul trouble, and sometimes he so easily gets in foul trouble, and then he's playing against a guy that likes to rough it up in Steven Adams. So Adams is better with not getting fouls, where Gobert gets all the silly fouls. So just because of that one reason, I am not so much highly on Gobert today, but he is a good play. 30, 33, and 40. His last 2 games were close to value, not quite there, okay, but it was more so because he was in foul trouble. If he didn't have foul trouble, he would have been on the floor 35 to as much as 40 minutes, and maybe these numbers would have looked a little bit better, even though they're not too bad, and of course the fantasy points would be better. But because of that, and because of the factors that now Steven Adams is getting to the point that he's roughing him up to the point that he's committing silly fouls, where Adams is a little more disciplined about it, I don't favor him tonight because of that. As much as I know, as much as I like Utah, I am not on him. If I'm going to be on anybody in Utah today, it's definitely going to be Ricky Rubio and Donovan Mitchell, and I definitely like Joe Crowder and Derek Favors more so than I like Gobert. But Gobert needs to have a good game and needs to stay on the floor for Utah to have a more better chance to finish up this series tonight. Valanciunas, my favorite play today. Valanciunas battling Washington. He had a 41 spot in the last game. Finally, they gave this guy minutes, and he produced, and they're going to need him to do the same today if they want to get rid of Washington today. They need Jonas Valanciunas to be on the floor. All right, 25 or better minutes, no more that 23, 15, and 23. You need this guy out there rebounding like he did, 13 rebounds, and you need him putting back those little close under the board shots, those putbacks and everything. This is what this guy does best. Let him play. Let him play. This is the playoffs. He's been resting pretty much all season long, playing only 22, 23 minutes a game. Now he needs to play 30 minutes or better every single game the rest of the way. Let him play. He's healthy enough already. He's not hurt anymore. That's what I would say to the Toronto Raptors coaching staff. Let this guy play and let him give you a chance to win the games. So Valanciunas is my best play, my favorite play today at center. 6,100 is his price. He got to get you about 30, 31. He got you 41 in the last game in 32 minutes. Okay, so that's more than a point and a half a minute. I like him. I think he's the best play here. Other than that, I am on Gortat, which I had on a few of my lineups the last time. He has done well too, battling Toronto, 18th ranked, of course, because Valanciunas is not the greatest defender. So that's why there's a green here. They are the worst defensive team that is left in this right now in the playoffs, defending against the center. As far as in this slate today, among the 3 teams I'm looking at here, he's 18th. And yeah, put up a 29, 22, and 22. He's actually have gone up. Of course, his value is pretty much the same, but as you can see, now they're respecting him. Fanduel set 4,700 for tonight's game, so he's getting up there. I still think that he could definitely crush that. The longest he gets these minutes, 26, 28, 34, the minutes have actually gone up. They're going to need him to have those minutes up today because they need to battle with Valanciunas, who played 32 minutes, so that's the reason why he was on the floor. And he needs to stay away from foul trouble. And if he can stay out of foul trouble, where Valanciunas is actually better at that, Gortat usually is not. You know, he definitely gets in some fouls here and there, sometimes a few fouls too quickly. But if he can stay out of foul trouble early and be on the floor a little bit more, he'll help Washington stay very close in this game, like the way they have been when he has been on the floor. As you can see, 26, 28, and 34. And then look at the shots up close: 4 of 9, 6 of 8, 8 of 10. You know, that's his game. His game is right underneath the boards. You know, putting back a offensive rebound, putting the putbacks back in, getting the little rebounds under the board, kicking them back out, and getting them back underneath the boards. That's what Gortat does best. So he's definitely in play at 4,700. He is still a good price. So if you're looking for value, take Gortat, spend somewhere else in one of the other spots. Power forward is another spot where you can get a mid-tier player at 6 or 6.5 or 7, and you're good to go. So that means you can pay up for the other guys. All right, guys. So definitely focus on that. So that's where we stand here as far as all the guys I'm looking at. I'll go over them real quickly again. At point guard, I'm considering Wall, Lowry, and Mr. Wright as a value play. As shooting guard, I'm loving Mitchell and DeRozan with a value play of Mr. Carver. At small forward, I'm loving James and George, and my value play is Oubre. At power forward, I love Derek Favors and Sabonis the best, and I definitely like Young and Crowder also, with Crowder being the lower price player here. So he's like the value play. And at center, it is Mr. Valanciunas as my top play, and my value play at center is Mr. Gortat. So any one of those two guys, any one of the ones I mentioned, and any one that I have on my list, my pool of players, which are a total of 28, those are the guys that I'm considering for today, guys. Couple little, going back now to the matchups again. Hey, stacking. Everybody does it. Who does not? When you have $100,000 going for a GPP tonight, why not stack? You can stack up on games like I mentioned before. You got Toronto at Washington, Cleveland at Indiana, OKC at Utah. Any one of these games, you can make a lineup for each game. My advice, if you have the money, you don't even have to play the $9.99 100K. There's 5K for first, which I think is only $4. You pay what you can, and you play the GPPs that you want to play. I'll have a little bit in everything, and I'm looking to make lineups in each one of these games. I'm looking to stack a 6 or 7 players from the Toronto-Washington game. I plan to do the same for Cleveland, Indiana, and one for OKC and Utah. And then you mix it around. Then you look for some of the stuff that I mentioned about the statistical stuff. Which teams are rebounding better? Who can I key in on rebounding? Who can I key in as far as guys that are field goal percentages are good, and they're also fairly good right now, doing very well through the 3-point range. So all those things come into play. So that's when you have to crunch them down, look at the ones I mentioned, and then decide from there. That's really the bottom line. So here, team stacks right here. Toronto, definitely. Why not just stay with DeRozan and Lowry? And if you wanted to choose anybody else within that, then you can take Mr. Wright. Let me just put this as a whole here, the whole entire. Okay. And when you think in Washington, you definitely should pair Wall with Beal. You can stack those two. A triple stack there. I will go Wall, Lowry, Gortat. Wall, Beal, and Gortat for Washington. And Toronto, I will go DeRozan, Lowry with Valanciunas. If you want to go with a stud with a triple stack. Okay. We go to Cleveland and Indiana. You want to do a little pairing there. With Cleveland, I don't like a lot of the pairs in Cleveland. I don't even like to stack anybody in Cleveland. Cleveland to me is all LeBron James. At least it's my opinion. But if Kevin Love was playing well, I would say pair up Kevin Love with James. But he hasn't been playing well. So and then they don't have a true center that plays well either. So I'm looking at James. If I'm going to look at anybody else in Cleveland, I like Carver. So you can pair up James with Carver, with Kyle Carver. And that'll be your double there. Indiana, definitely you can pair up. Indiana's a little bit better, even though Oladipo has not played well in Collison. But you can pair up Oladipo with Collison, or you can pair up Oladipo with Sabonis or with Thaddeus Young. If you want to do a triple stack, then I would do Collison, Oladipo with Sabonis, or with Young. If you wanted to go with a triple stack there for Indiana. And I'm sure all this is like kind of common sense for some people, but I'm trying to just give you the best advice. And that'll be the best stacks there. And then when I go to OKC and Utah, I'm looking at OKC first. You definitely got to think Russell Westbrook with Paul George. That is it, hands down. Those are the only two. I'm not in favor of Steven Adams. I don't plan to play him. There's no need to play the big three because there's not a big three in OKC. Anthony has not been a big factor there. I don't see him being a big factor here in today's game or as they progress in the playoffs if they do happen to escape Utah over these next game or two. I think the best play there will be Westbrook pairing up with George. They did it in the last game, and they're going to need to do it again today. And if you wanted to try to cash in today on these guys, then today's the day to do it because they may be eliminated. So OKC, Westbrook, and George. When you're looking at Utah, definitely a little bit better. I like Rubio with Donovan Mitchell, but I also like the triple stack of Rubio, Mitchell with either Favors or with Crowder. I'm not on Gobert today, but he could be an option, guys. He could be an option. You can go with Mitchell and just Gobert. For the rebounding, the putbacks, you can do that. But the only problem with Gobert is that he's been having a little bit of problems with his foul troubles with Steven Adams. And that's because Steven Adams is a very physical guy. It makes it a little tough on Gobert, but Gobert should still have the upper hand. He should put up more fantasy points than Steven Adams. That's for certain, at least in my eyes. Again, my opinion. And those are the stacks I'm looking at, guys. So like I said before, you can do a stacking of an individual game in a slate, and you can actually do team stacks. And I gave you the ones that I think are the best ones you guys should consider. So that's basically it, folks, man. I mean, I could go on forever. I know some of you probably get in my videos and probably think I speak a little too long or whatever. I apologize for that, but that's me. I'm just going to be me, and I hope everybody likes the information I'm giving and what I'm trying to do to help guys out and women, because I know they're women players as well. But, you know, overall wise, I enjoy what I do. You know, I enjoy playing DFS. I enjoy being a fan of sports, and I enjoy, you know, trying to sit down here and get into this YouTube and share some of this stuff with you guys. And like I said, as soon as the NBA is over, I will be right away going into the MLB, and I'll be giving you tips and strategies and ideas and, you know, little things that you may want to look at as far as statistically or analyzing to make your decisions on how to make plays, because I'm not going to give a stud 5 or anything like that for MLB neither. I'm just basically going to share with you the best plays I think there are available for that slate. And that's it. And I might just go more on Major League Baseball. I might do an afternoon slate video. I enjoy baseball a lot, and I think some of the slates are probably going to be better maybe for just the afternoon or just for the late night. So I may mix it up, but I'm going to try to always focus on the main slates. But again, guys, man, lots of luck tonight. Enjoy the games. It's a Friday night, man. Get a nice cold one, or, you know, get together with your buddies or the people you hang out with and watch the games. Enjoy these games. These games are going to be absolutely fire tonight. I look forward to them. I hope that all of you got some good insight and some good information from me today. I hope you guys make some tremendously worthy money-making lineups tonight. And I'm going to do the same. As soon as I finish this video right now, I'm going to get right to it and start setting up some lineups and get my stuff in there. And hopefully somebody who's one of my viewers or listener may walk away with 100K, or if they play the 25K or whatever it is, the 15K first place or the 5K first place. I know I'm going to try to take one of them down. I'm going to play on all of them, and we're going to take it from there. We're going to see what happens. But good luck tonight, man. That's pretty much it. Everybody, God bless. Have a wonderful Friday, and I hope everybody makes a lot of money. And your boy Manny is out.